They're throwing crosses.
Cross is
which
good.
are ninja stars, but they're crosses.
Boomerang.
Cross.
It's called a boomerang.
What are we doing?
Well, semantics
It's a
are important,
cross.
but also I'm just telling you what the actual thing is. Y'all can do whatever.
The
but
manual's wrong.
The manual is not wrong. Welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name is Kenny.
Nolan here.
And this is episode 383. And believe it or not, it's not a Patreon poll, but we'll get to that. Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, EA, Sega, Activision, Blizzard, Ubisoft, Valve, Capcom, Square Enix. 10 of the
Nolan, Dustin, Kenny.
Yeah, what are we naming?
Dustin, Kenny, what? You just those are 10 of the top video game publishers.
Yeah.
Not the only. Don't come at me, but 10 of the top. If you could only play games from one publisher for the rest of your life, it doesn't have to be those 10. Which would you pick and why?
Whew.
Deep.
Okay, the answer is unfortunately extremely simple and easy for me. It's Nintendo.
I knew you were
I'm
going
sorry.
there. You're a basic boy.
I am a basic boy, but you're guaranteed quality between Mario, Zelda, and Donkey Kong and everything. Kirby, like all of their characters, you'll get a solid game, and it's going to work when it launches. That's why I'm going with Nintendo.
Does Valve give you access to the Steam library? Is that how that would work?
I was wondering. You said Valve. I was like,
if it does, that's probably
that's
my
Kenny's answer for sure.
But that can't be the case, right? Kenny, what would be your answer?
I had a knee-jerk reaction, but it's wrong. When I hear Nolan and think of the games from like a bigger publisher like Nintendo, like that's the right way to go. I was gonna say Blizzard right off. Love their old stuff, it was staples for me. Still love some of their big titles that do come out, but the cadence is slow. There's only a few of sort of franchises that work for me, and
you got to eat a double down from KFC to play the games. It's rough.
Right. So yeah, not them.
Yeah, not them.
Yeah, maybe back in time I could have given that answer more confidently. So I don't actually know.
That's a good answer.
But not Blizzard, which is what I expected to say.
Dustin, yours is?
Mine is not Nintendo, although I get that. Yes, it's what you're saying.
Sony?
No.
Oh, I said Sony.
Square Enix.
Oh. Okay.
I'm going to play Final Fantasy the rest of my life.
That's fine. That's like...
Yeah.
That's fine.
They're remaking the Pixel remasters, and then also like I can go back and play some old school amazing PlayStation 2 era JRPGs.
That also is.
I've got Chrono Cross and Chrono
much.
Trigger. I've even got Theater Rhythm. Like if I don't want to play a JRPG, I can just play a music version of the JRPG. There are so.
But you also have non-Final Fantasy games too. Some pretty good ones.
Yeah. Well,
he doesn't know about any of those.
Yeah, Octopath, which I won't play. Is Forspoken Square? Anyways, there's plenty of games.
It is.
No, let's not talk about that. I think there's a few correct answers here, and I get what you're saying with Nintendo, Mario, Zelda, Metroid. You didn't say Metroid.
Metroid. All of them. I was just saying, dude, like you've got a lot of variety. That's the thing with Nintendo.
Right. That's what's nice about that answer is you've got depth and quality. Yeah. You'd have a lot of good stuff to play.
Listen, we've got a question of the week thread in our Game of the Week channel in Discord right now, so you can go and share your opinions on this. Which of those publishers or any publishers would you play if you could only play one publisher's games for the rest of your life? So go and let us know. That's right. No longer do you have to shout your answers into the air in vain. Yeah. You can whip on over to our Discord, discord.gg/newgameplus, and join the conversation today.
That was scary.
Air in vain.
That was.
Like in our retro Game of the Week, Castlevania.
Overview.
Castlevania is a well-known and well-loved title for the Nintendo Entertainment System, although originally for the Japan version of the NES, the what, family computer disk
Don't
system.
say what
Do you do a retro gaming
Yeah,
podcast?
that is one of the things you need to know. It's the Famicom.
Do I look like I grew up in Japan?
Yes, actually, you look like like
you
look like your parents worked over there and you grew up in Japan. That's what you look like.
It's exactly the look of who I am. So it came out originally in Japan in 1986. Came over to the States where we are familiar with things and allowed to be on the NES in 1987, and is the first of a wildly successful franchise that bears its name. You control Simon Belmont. This is the big character in the series who is a vampire hunter, and you're coming after Dracula, who is back.
Bacula.
And yeah, Dracula is back, and you got to run into his castle, platform your way through a series of horror genre monsters, and take him out.
Nolan, this is not our first Castlevania. How many have we played on the show?
2 others.
Both of y'all are wrong.
Oh, 3 others. 3 others, yeah.
Three
Soden
others.
And then 2 GBA ones.
3 others. We played Symphony of the Night on episode 190. We played Circle of the Moon on episode 217. And we played Castlevania 64 on episode 327. That's 3, Kenny.
Yep.
Right, and now we've played Castlevania.
That's not how it works.
We've played 4.
How many others have we played? Not 4, Kenny. We have played 3.
Okay, well, I was flashing how many titles we've played total.
Was this... Now, this might be a Kenny moment, not knowing Famicom. Was this Konami's?
Epic
No.
Kenny moment.
What was this one of Konami's? When did Metal Gear come out? Is what I'm asking.
Wait, like what year did Metal Gear come out?
I'm asking, is this one of Konami's earliest massive home console successes? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Oh, I would say for sure.
1986 is early.
Yes, but I would say it contributed greatly to their success, early on. Of course.
I'm gonna guess no, but I have no reason to say that.
Metal Gear Solid came out in 98.
I don't feel like you pull this out of nowhere.
98. Well, I'm just saying. Well, I don't have data to back this up. I know that they had done some arcade successes, right? But home console is a different beast, and 86 is at the dawn of home consoles, or near the dawn.
Yeah. You don't show up to the party bringing out Castlevania as the first thing you serve.
No, Konami had tremendous success before that. Do you guys want to know something? I owned this game along with many NES games. You know the case that was blue and red and it looked like a briefcase? You might not know what I'm talking about. I feel like Kenny would have had it.
Kenny doesn't even know what the Nintendo Entertainment System is.
I know, that's right. People listening will. I had that thing, and we kept it at my grandparents' lake house for me to play it there. I inherited it from my cousin. And one day, I couldn't find it, and it's haunted me for the rest of my life. It's gone. I think someone probably stole it. I think someone broke into the lake house and stole it because...
No, it got sold in a garage sale.
Yes.
I was going to say, between this and my N64 trauma garage sale...
Dude,
that's exactly
that's child abuse.
It's child.
I owned this.
But hey, you owned that then, and now today you own Castlevania 2: Simon's Quest.
I do have that in my catalog
currently.
Yeah.
Until we give it away.
Gameplay.
We talked about how we've played other titles in the series and now are coming back to the first one.
Uno.
Which I thought was a really interesting way to do it because, I'm familiar with some of those other titles. You get all of the classic Castlevania, not all, a lot of the classic Castlevania stuff right here.
I agree. A lot of the series tropes begin here, but I would like to specify that this is not a Metroidvania.
No, of course not.
Of course not.
No, it's Castlevania.
Listen.
Both of y'all have
the whole
really
Metroidvania
good
thing. Whoever made that up, I want to uppercut them into the universe.
No,
it's
not. It's not whoever made it up that you want to uppercut. It's the fact that Dustin has made it his all-encompassing.
No, he's right.
Metric.
I think a lot
genre.
of people do that though, Kenny. I don't think he's trolling. Like seriously,
it should have just been called Metroid, right? Like that's the Metroid.
Yeah,
because that was with the first one.
So, Symphony of the Night is his reference point, I think, for Castlevania,
Which was
'cause
long
that was
after
your
Metroid.
favorite one. Long after. Well, yes. So I get the I get why you would even say
Yeah.
that, but yes, this is a classic Vania, is what people start to call them these days, because it's before Symphony of the Night, it's before Rondo, which even Rondo's a classic, but like, yeah,
There we go.
it's not a Metroidvania.
Right.
It's a
Classic
platformer.
platformer.
It's a
True.
raw platformer.
But Kenny, you were completely correct that so many of the Castlevania tropes began here. I was amazed at how many of those things started here.
Wait, both of y'all's first time playing this game?
Nolan, I think I played it before, but not extensively and not all the way through.
Yeah, okay.
Same.
Okay.
I thought it was my first time playing, and it was my first time playing like in big chunks and dedicated. But as I was playing through, I was like, oh no, I've seen this before. Like I'm familiar with this title, and so, yeah.
But no, I mean
For
the
whatever
whip,
that's worth.
like the whip, the tight platforming all started here, and it's like, sometimes when you see that, it's very far removed. Like you'll be like, yeah, I can see it, but dude, no, like. It's so familiar here still when you play the original. If you've played some of the later Castlevanias and you know that you have the whip attack, I mean, the fact that it exists on the NES and it still feels like this is pretty crazy.
But it's not just the whip. It's certain enemies are like carry on through the service. The item drops from Destructibles that began here. The
candles,
the particular sub weapons. We'll get to all of these things. Even the environments, right? Like in a lot of these games, you're going back to the same castle, and so you're going through same but different rooms, and it's all super familiar.
I want to kind of get some of the flaws out of the way, because there's a lot that we can just love about this game and we will talk about. But there were some things that, returning to the first game in the series after having played so many of the later ones, that were pretty obvious. The first one is like, you've got your flicker. You got your NES like enemy flicker, too many things, despawning enemies, inconsistent enemy spawn rates, positions. You've got your hallway glitch, the famous hallway glitch, which happened to be twice this week, actually, where it freezes your game for no reason. Actually, there's probably a reason it happens, but I don't know. And that's kind of all. Like the only other complaint I have is the game is pretty rough in some of the boss fights about backing you into a corner and not being all too fair with projectiles and stuff, but that's kind of okay with me. It's just hard. It's just a hard game, and so I can't even hold that as a flaw.
Here's Nolan. Let's talk about all of the terrible things that this game does wrong, and then doesn't even talk about the stairs.
There's nothing wrong with the
Dustin
stairs.
was going somewhere else. Y'all are both wrong. What
the stairs are...
in his first
they're
play,
terrible.
Got mad at the stairs. He was present. It hurts me because, Kenny, you do the same thing over and over again expecting a different result. You press up, go up the stairs, and then lose your mind as to why you're going up the stairs. You're doing the same thing over and over again.
The stairs are annoying.
Kenny brought up the stairs. The stairs.
Where were you going?
I was just saying,
of course.
I thought it was just a unique approach. Let's talk about all the bad things so that I can spend the rest of the episode gushing about this game.
That's my point. There aren't many
grievances.
things.
It's your... Nolan had some
and
valid
yours are the
ones.
stairs.
I had an also valid one.
All right.
You air a grievance.
The stairs.
It's just a weird place to start with the grievances. Let me even look through my notes. I don't know if I've got... Okay, my grievance. It's unfortunate that the whip can't attack in multiple directions.
Oh, I'm so glad it doesn't.
What? Why?
I'm so glad it doesn't.
Later in the series.
Right. Well, sure, but I am glad it doesn't here because that is how the game's designed.
Yes.
That's how the game's designed, and that's how it should be designed.
Also, the stairs, that's how the game is designed, and...
It is, and Kenny, it doesn't get better later. I mean... It does get slightly better. You can jump onto them in later games.
You do get more used to it, but it's always a little gimmicky. This is not the only game that does stairs poorly. I'm just going to tell you.
I get
platformers should just avoid it. You don't have to do stairs.
Okay, I can validate that, Kenny. I think that's a fair complaint. If you are not used to Castlevania and this, Dustin, they're all over. They are a core part of the level design, and you have to get used to it. Kenny clearly didn't. But I don't think it's that bad, but a lot of people do.
Okay, so we got our grievances out of the way. Can we explain what this game
you're
is?
A grievance. You're a grievance.
Can we talk what this game is?
We have been this whole time.
If we want to.
Nolan, you called it Classicvania. I don't think you did something like that. So it is traditional platforming in the most traditional sense. So you, especially early in this, early in the stage of platforming, all of that, even super comparable to the Mega Man platforming, classic Mega Man. You're just platforming. You're going left to right. Sometimes right to left, but you are traversing a stage, jumping across gaps, going up and down stairs very easily. You're defeating enemies along the way, fighting a boss at the end. It's 6 blocks of 3 stages each, and then each of those blocks conclude with a unique boss battle. So, and then I think Kenny mentioned it up front, but you're fighting like Frankenstein's monster, you're fighting a mummy. You eventually fight
the Grim Reaper
so like,
or Death, I guess.
All of those traditional tropey horror characters, and but
it's a spooky game.
I think it starts off fairly easily, honestly. And I'll say, if you don't believe me, Kenny got to the boss and almost beat the first block without dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and did beat it in the first place successfully.
So this game is easy, or at least starts off super easy.
It starts off easy and then ramps
First level is relatively easy.
Second
this is
level's
not
not
an
bad.
easy
Second
game.
level's not bad either. And
third level,
I think,
has a room that will kill you.
Okay, listen. It maybe not as it doesn't do it as masterfully as we found in Super Mario Bros. But this game introduces you to its concepts in a very smart way. Slowly, it reveals some new difficult enemies where they can't actually hurt you unless you jump into the pit with them. They slowly introduce you to platforming where even if you do fall, you're not going to die. And even if you die and lose your whip power, which we'll talk about, they give you that to rebuild up early on. It gets more difficult, I agree, but early on I thought they were pretty smart with how they introduced you to the game and its mechanics.
It was, yes, I agree. However, once it gets full bore, there are some very difficult sequences that you have to traverse through. I don't think that's unfair to say. And it tends to be very, I don't know, sort of like binary difficult. You'll get to one screen that you have to move through that like feels impossible. And then you'll do like 2 or 3 of them and you're like, oh man, this game's easy. I'm awesome. Like I've got it. And then you get to another one that just feels impossible. So it's kind of a little more toggly than I like in terms of whether or not I'm like hitting frustration or feeling successful. But they definitely do try and kind of ramp difficulty.
I do think that it is fair though. So I would say we've used these delineations before. I think it is NES hard. But I don't think it's some of those classic Mega Man hard in that I don't think it's fair.
You talked about it. When you die, there are answers. They're not always good ones, but they're thoughtful about giving you back at least a little bit of the tools that you may need to take on whatever challenge you're about to face. Even in the case of some of the very difficult bosses, sure, you might have lost like something you plan to use to cheese the boss and the fight becomes significantly harder because you can't, but it's going to give you tools so that you can still succeed, which is really thoughtful and actually well designed. Not every game does this. And Infinite continues.
Yeah.
This game is hard, but if you decide you're going to sit down and beat it, you can sit down and beat it because you're going to figure out the patterns, you're going to learn the things that work and the things that don't. And so it's not punishingly, impossibly hard. It's just challenging.
Nolan, do you not think it's fair?
Yes. Oh, of course.
Okay.
I think it's rough but fair. That's what I've always called this game.
Got you.
It's a challenge. It's a great retro gaming challenge. If you haven't beat Castlevania, you can strive for it, and it feels really good. I think the Infinite Continue especially is what makes this the case. A lot of NES games would kick you back to the beginning or do the one-hit kill kind of garbage. This one
got health?
is balanced with both, and they're smart about placing health. Kenny's saying they'll strategically place drops. There are hidden like blocks that have like food in them that you'll discover on accident sometimes. And what is it?
Wall meat?
Wall meat? Yeah. And the level design too. I recall almost every room, which means I think that's good.
That's really
I think
good.
the level design is really great, especially on NES, especially for the year. But there's variety when they could have kept things really samey, and a lot of NES games were. But from enemy variety to staircase placement to just creating a feel for each area, I mean, it's really, really impressive on the stages. Each one, yes, some of them are very difficult, but all of them have something to enjoy, in my opinion.
I agree up until a point, and I'll explain. The clock tower room, which again, I've been in that room before in a different game, which is so cool. But the one with all the gears, it's gold themed kind of.
Yeah.
That one was very difficult for me because there's just a whole host of enemies coming at you from all angles there. Until I did what the game wanted me to do. And the game smartly places various sub-weapons before certain areas that you can or don't have to use, but if you do, it might benefit you. And so, soon before going into that room, you can get the watch sub-weapon, which we should probably go through all the sub-weapons, where I was able to freeze time momentarily in there, so I don't have to fight them all. I can just kind of get to the exit as quickly as possible. They do that multiple times throughout the game because it's smart level design, and they want you to experiment with sub-weapons. I punished myself because I was trying to hold on to one sub-weapon rather than switching throughout, which is what they wanted me to do.
I bet I can guess.
Yeah, well, I bet you
give you one afterwards, which you wouldn't have known.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known. And I bet you can guess, but I bet you will say it wrong. Which one did you think that I liked?
I'll say it wrong.
Which one did you think that I
Holy
liked?
water.
Oh, well, you said it wrong on many different ways.
I think yours is holy water, probably.
Well, it is not called holy water. Listen, everybody calls it holy water.
No, yeah.
But it is not. And it blew me away this week when I pulled up the manual and when I saw what it actually is, and I don't like it, and I hope they actually change it in later iterations. But the
gin and juice.
Holy water is also not called gin and juice. It's called a firebomb.
Yeah.
Blue Molotov cocktail.
Not that
is
y'all
what it
are
really is.
not getting it.
Japanese
No, I'm telling
translation,
you,
probably. Like they.
So
I don't know.
You think it's holy water?
Well, it is now.
Okay.
Like that's what the
and it should
series
have been
calls
because
it.
it makes sense.
It should have.
Like
it makes sense, especially with its function on some of those bosses.
It does. It literally bursts into flame, though. You can't whine too much, Dustin.
no,
Like
it's
the
fine.
visual is you throw
Fireball.
it, and
No,
then
firebomb.
there's fire.
Oh, fire
yeah,
bomb.
firebomb. You've got, and that one is super powerful. We can talk about it, but OP in my opinion, it can lock bosses like permanently. It's so good. The watch freezes time for a few seconds. You've got a dagger.
Maybe my top item.
Oh, really? You've got
I love stopwatch.
the dagger, which is just a throwing dagger.
Terrible.
Yeah, just a throwing dagger.
I think it works in certain areas.
You got the axe, which is really helpful on
Axe
the
is
first boss,
decent.
at least. Yeah,
Axe is decent.
nice access to people on different parts of the level.
Access?
And then you got
no.
your,
Access.
Yeah, nice access.
It's just good.
I don't know which way to make
It's
the
just
joke. And then you've got your throwing crosses,
Cross is
which
good.
are ninja stars, but they're crosses.
Boomerang.
Cross.
It's called a boomerang.
What are we doing?
Well, semantics
It's a
are important,
cross.
but also I'm just telling you what the actual thing is. Y'all can do whatever,
the
but
manual's wrong.
the manual
It's
is not
not-
wrong.
It is
Okay,
wrong,
it's not
actually.
a boomerang. It may act like a boomerang.
No, I think he's
But a
saying it is
boomerang
called
is a
boomerang in the manual.
specific
I am,
thing.
and he knows
Well,
that,
I
and he
know.
does not care.
It's the
I don't
cross,
care.
it's holy water, it's the stopwatch, it's axis,
Stopwatch?
and
Go.
and it's terrible knife. Don't use it.
Okay, so you just gave your opinion on which one on your order. I don't need to know your order, Kenny, but which sub-weapon did you prefer? Which one did you like most?
Oh, I mean,
Holy water?
holy
Okay,
water,
yeah. Well, firebomb.
Yeah, it's just OP. Yeah.
Yeah, holy water
Blue
ticks
Molotov
damage like on
strong.
enemies, but on bosses, the more important function is that
It's that lock,
freezes
man.
them in place while you can whip them to death and you can spam it.
Yeah.
Like they may be able to move a little bit in between. But
Okay, and I know we did grievances up front, but the thing that I'll never be okay with in this series is that the sub-weapon refill are hearts. I'll never be okay with that. I don't agree with it. I think that's inappropriate. And I think that they could have come up with any other thing than hearts.
I kind of like
I
it.
know it's a thing,
Oh no!
but I forgot, and I was playing and took damage and was like, "Oh, good, there's some hearts."
In the first
and
play,
picked
he
them
was
up
like,
and
"Oh,
was
I'm getting heart."
so mad.
Yeah.
And like I should have known better. Like that's Castlevania, but yeah, your hearts that you collect are your energy to power your sub weapons.
Nolan, why do you like it?
I just like that that's the staple
It's
for the
just
series.
different.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different. Like, and it's probably got some like lore reasoning behind it that I don't quite know. But
I can get used to it, but I'm never gonna be okay with it. But they gave you
I also hate
so many. I was never
hearts everywhere.
never out of sub weapon energy or power.
Yes, same. They're pretty generous with that, and the candle placements are generous. Some of them are bait. Some of them are hella bait.
They are.
You should.
There are times you would die and then have to. I know you guys never died, but for those of us that aren't
serious?
amazing gamers, okay,
Once.
thank you. That's much more realistic in this game. That you would die and that hearts then did become an issue. Like, oh, I've got to fight this boss again, and like I need energy to use these weapons, and so like there's times it matters, especially before fighting Dracula himself, and enough so that people even will like kind of game it and run in and out and like farm candles before going in and doing that fight and different things. There's some ways to kind of cheese him beyond just using holy water.
Even with holy water, Dracula's hard. His second phase.
These bosses are hard. I found Frankenstein hard because you've got that monster that's with him that's jumping around.
Little
Flea
minion.
Man. Worst enemy in the game.
Yeah.
He does like double damage in that fight.
he's so fast.
And he shoots fireballs.
And unexpected. He's
that fight.
No,
sucks.
that might be the worst fight for sure.
Honestly,
Grim Reaper.
Listen, and maybe it's because I played Sekiro a little bit ago, but like this game was not as hard as I expected it to be. The bosses, that's where it's difficult, but a lot of the platforming,
interesting.
Once I got used to it, I didn't find it too difficult. Even the Medusa Heads, which people loathe for good reason, have a predictable pattern.
I've got their number.
Ooh,
I hate Flea Man. I'm fine with Medusa.
Same. That is the one that gets me, the Flea Man.
But the hallway before Grim Reaper has the knights that throw axes and Medusa Heads. That room,
and I think a bat
trash.
at one point at the same time too, like all coming at you.
But then the boss is hard too.
I
Grim
think
Reaper
that
gave
hallway
me
is not
trouble.
hard. If you have holy water, you throw the holy water and walk backwards, and the knight follows you and just gets burnt
I never
up.
had holy water.
Okay,
that's why the game's hard, because you die and lose it.
Yeah.
Did you beat the game without save states?
No, I didn't beat I didn't try. But I did. So the first time I played through, I did it with save states. The second time I played through, I didn't do it with save states. And I didn't get all the way through. But I got through the first 3 levels relatively easily. So I'm not saying it's not difficult. I'm just saying that it's not as difficult as some NES platformers we played. And it's not as difficult as maybe the reputation has it to be. Like, it's doable. It's doable.
It's definitely doable. It takes time. It takes patience.
Yes.
And but that's kind of the enjoyment factor for me, is learning the stages and the patterns.
Dark Souls?
When I guess like when the enemies cooperate and don't spawn in the wrong spot. I do enjoy the grind of, all right, I made it to the hard room that I hate with full life, good hearts, and the item I want. Let's do this. And there's something really satisfying about that. And the infinite continues just make it possible. Like, it's very doable. Mega Man has passwords, but like, I kind of like this better, where it starts you back at the beginning of the area, not the game. Like, yeah, you have to do 2 extra rooms to get back to where you were, but like, you've got those rooms down.
Aged.
Can we begin by talking about the music? I know that's out of order from typically what we do here.
Sure.
You're talking about the OST that has like 16 tracks on an NES title?
Yes, sir, I am. and not only that, we've played more in the series, and the way that these themes are, just like the mechanics we discussed earlier, are also reused and rehashed and remastered into different renditions and then used again is so impressive to me. The original soundtrack here just hit something so iconic. It's like Mega Man in that you hear it and you know what it's from. I'm so impressed when people do that on the NES especially. Like, I can't say that for a lot of series.
I mostly agree. I mean, I agree. I love that they had good enough music that it could start and define music sort of for the whole, like Castlevania world that develops. That's cool. And I think most of the music here is really good. There were a few tracks that were kind of obnoxious
Watch
to me.
your mouth. Watch your freaking mouth. Which ones?
Maybe not even entire tracks, just portions of things. So some stuff was leaned just a little corny. However, they avoided a really, really bad trap. It's so easy when you're doing horror games to do overly spooky or cheesy horror Halloween-y kinds of music and it be awful, and they didn't. And
right, they didn't.
I'm saying all of this to agree with you, Nolan. It's great music. There's just one or two tracks I don't personally prefer.
It's perfect.
Let me
And
correct
I
it.
was literally bobbing my head. I was dancing all week.
Dancing?
I was like playing. I was like doing this while I'm playing. Like, you have to.
Yeah.
It's so catchy.
I'll correct him. I think he meant to say there's 16 tracks, which is remarkable for an NES title, and every single one of them are bops. That's what he meant. I
False.
was
Yeah, that is what he
Nolan,
freaking
and
meant.
honestly, and maybe I have poor recollection of the other Castlevania games I played, but there's something about this sound font and about these tracks that I might like even more than the other soundtracks in the rest of the series so far.
Dude.
Yes. There's I don't know if you've come across on social media, but there's this one creator that does like a popular song, I don't know, a Drake song or something.
Yeah.
And it does it in like 8-bit font and it's 16-bit,
Yes, I've seen
32.
these.
Yeah. And it's always like that early font that everybody seems to like the most. And there's something that's so charming about what they're able to do here. In 1986 or 7 on the Famicom, whatever that is,
Dude.
it is remarkable how good
Kenny
these
doesn't
tracks are. Every single one of them. There we go.
It's classic.
It is
dude.
really good.
I love
Okay,
it.
maybe not as strong as a few of the Mega Man titles. Maybe it's just a different flair, but it's
up
definitely
there
up
for
there.
me.
It's close.
Yeah.
Graphically,
It's good.
let's talk. Just get it in that you don't like it, Kenny. All right.
It's good.
No, I don't. You guys misinterpret what I
But
say.
you said one negative thing, and that was too much.
Graphically,
Fair.
it is also remarkable how much
it is.
depth there is in 1986. I was amazed that, like, guys, we have played games from much later that look much poorer. This game,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
while it's not
American Gladiator.
while it's not the most defined, every the backgrounds are what amazed me most, to be honest. The environments.
Yes. Yeah. So good. And the castle, dude, in the final area.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what-
and then you see
It's
it
clear
collapse.
where you are.
Yeah.
It does storytelling through the space. It
Stained
is
glass
sort of
windows.
realistic sizes, which
Yeah.
helps feel more realistic than a lot of video gamies. And on top of the visuals being good, it's also got such a clean UI. I know you're anti-hearts as a unit,
Sure.
but your score, your life, the enemy life, which weapon you have, and the icons for it. Everything is so clear. The only thing that wasn't immediately clear just from visuals
Watch it.
was what the
Careful.
little 2 and 3 upgrades
Sure.
do for the multiple uses of your weapon. You don't realize that
You'll
at first. That's a
eventually
little
catch on.
confusing.
Yeah.
You're right, you're
but
right.
everything is so obvious and just laid out and then looks good on top of it. I'm with you guys. This one's mwah.
Simon and his whip animation are like so stand out to me and classic. The whip is so
But
good.
he's got a whip in the first place, right? It's not a sword.
Yeah, it's a
or-
melee platformer.
No,
right,
it's-
right.
It's a fun take on a weapon. I will say, and we didn't get much into it in gameplay, so sorry if I'm reverting a little bit. There's a few obnoxious things here. You're not moving while you're whipping
That's
unless you
tough.
jump
Yeah, that's
first
tough.
you know, and so there's some things you got to adjust to. The jump where you have to be running before you jump instead of moving after can be tricky, and the way some of the enemies knock you. So like,
No, let's talk controls.
there are
Yeah, that's
imperfect
easy.
things about it.
Yeah,
but
the untrained eye would call it stiff,
It
but they don't know what's up.
Nolan.
Nah, they don't know what's up, bro. It's I mean, it's game design. Obviously, that was a choice because you can do the Mega Man thing where it's looser, but
the systems are learnable though. You can learn to
Yes.
deal with these mechanics, but it's not going to feel completely natural
Right, it
right
might
away
feel
because
stiff.
no.
Yeah.
Your
It
eye
is
looks
stiff,
a little untrained
Nolan.
to me,
It's
bro.
stiff.
It looks a little untrained.
It might have been a choice, or I mean, it was a choice. It might have been an intentional decision, but it doesn't feel as fluid or as good as platformers can.
Hey, you ever heard of Super Mario Bros? Y'all might like that game.
We would, because it's the
We
best
do like that
platforming.
game.
You would also like it, Nolan. You should try it. I think it may have started on the Famicom. The handling, while it is
What's
a
that?
little bit stiff, I totally agree with what Kenny did say. Is that you can get used to it. Like you can.
Right.
After a couple stages, you know how the handling works. So it might be jarring at first, but I got used to it this week. Now, we've already said, but this is only the first Castlevania in an expansive series. We played 3 on the show, like we said up front, but there are so many others. And did I pick up on the fact that, Nolan, this week you played a lot more than just Castlevania?
I might have.
Why did you do that?
Well, I beat the game
Okay.
and was feeling, I wanted more. So instead of replaying it, I played Rondo of Blood on the PC
I mean,
engine.
no one's going to complain about you playing Rondo of Blood, but this game literally gives you an answer to I beat the game and want more.
Play it again?
Because you've got a New Game Plus mode.
Hey, namesake of the
I
show.
don't really like New Game Plus.
Oh, shut up! It's our
I know the
name.
games.
It is New Game Plus. I guess it's just hard. It's hard difficulty.
Right.
So you're playing the same stages,
Yeah.
more enemies. It's more damage.
No one's ever beat it.
It is much more difficult. Actually, someone from our
grueling.
community streamed this week and played and beat both normal and the New Game Plus mode.
Wow.
Yeah, Van Fernal. So many different games, many different consoles. The series is done though, right? Like they haven't had a new Castlevania release in a long time.
I'm not going to call it done,
Okay.
especially with the Netflix series they've got
Oh.
going. I can see them bringing, of course, yeah, I don't think
True.
it's done.
Well, last
we'll see.
Castlevania was 2014, so it's been a bit.
It's been a while.
It's been a bit. It was interesting, and I haven't played it, but the game Castlevania has been remade, re-released a few different times since 1986. So there's something on the PlayStation. There's even a GBA, which sounds enticing. Although I don't know if they changed anything or just brought it over. But super.
Probably some.
I could see a.
I think most of these are just go play the classic game
Right,
on this other
most of
system.
them.
But I could be wrong. It's just been ported to a lot of things because it's so
love
popular.
to see a Switch remake of Castlevania, dude. That could be sick. But yeah, if you want a classic cartridge for your NES, not Famicom, I'm talking NES here, it's $30 used or loose, $30. Not bad. But if you do want it new, it's $690 used. Nope, $690 new, excuse me. I said used, but new.
Yikes.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. Does require 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. I'll begin by saying, simply, this is an excellent early platformer. Excellent early platformer. When you're comparing it, which we did, to Mega Man, classic Mega Man, you know you're up there. It's among the elite of this time. I was so amazed. I'm always so amazed when some of these pre-90 platformers, or really any kind of games, do this well on the sound front, on the graphic front, on the gameplay and handling front. Like, even though there are choices there, I think it all works. It's no wonder that this series took off from this game. Like, you don't. I love Symphony of the Night, and I prefer it. It's definitely an upgrade to the formula, but this is a great classic platformer that is difficult, but because of the way that they designed it, it is doable. I certainly, easily give this game my vote for New Game Plus status, and I'm so glad that we didn't have to wait for a Patreon poll to play this game. It's just a normal old
crazy.
week.
We got lucky. Yeah, this is an unsurprising yes NGP status for me as well. I don't think anyone's shocked by that. I will say this game is a little bit less mature than some of the later games. I don't mean like adult content theme wise. I mean like evolution of where the game goes and figuring out exactly what Castlevania is, and does have a few rough corners gameplay wise. So it's probably not the best in the series, but it's a solid game on its own.
Nolan.
It's really good to know where it all began. I think you should absolutely embrace the frustration of the fact that you're gonna get knocked off of a platform and die from some enemies and some other really frustrating moments.
Stairs.
And give this and deal with the stairs and give this one a go. Absolute classic for a reason. Check
All right,
it out.
fanboy.
I mean, I'll say that it's not the best in the series, but it's not my least favorite in the series. Honestly,
well, yeah.
This is pretty high up. And original games usually aren't because they're so old, but this one's so playable. I am shocked at how impactful the styles and mechanics this game had on the future of the series. Just like we said earlier,
Yep.
I'm stunned by that. Every aspect, the music, reused music to the enemies, the game feel, it all started on the NES in the 80s. It is tough. It is fair. It is because of the continues and the level design. It feels really good to get better at and progress. I love platformers. I really love that genre. I can pick up and play almost all of them and have so much fun. Almost all of them, if not all of them, owe this game props.
Yeah.
Play this game if you love video games in GP.
That means that Castlevania is unanimously New Game Plus certified. But what did you think on our YouTube poll? 75% said yes.
Thank you.
That may be one of the highest amounts we've gotten on a yes.
It's
call.
not.
To be 100.
And 7% said no, go play something else.
Something else. What? World of Warcraft?
Fortnite. 17% have never played it before. So relatively low on the never played column for sure. We had...
Hopefully when they hear this, that number goes down though. Because like people need to play this game.
And if Kenny's saying that, who couldn't figure out the stairs, that means something.
You know it's good.
It means something.
Interestingly enough, I think we have broken a record here in the NGP verse.
Really?
And we have a record number of commentary.
Wow.
Dozens of people wrote in giving us their thoughts on the game. It's one of those weeks that I wish that I could read all of them. But you can go join our Discord, go into the commentary channel. You can see what everybody's thoughts were on this game. I'll read a few of them here today.
That's sick. Monumental.
Lyrica said, I want to start off saying Castlevania is my third favorite series in all of gaming. As a fan, I'm disappointed to admit this was my first time playing through the game. I have played all the sequels and variants of it, but never the NES original. This game is definitely on the hard scale. It's fairly reasonable in my opinion until those darn Medusa heads, but hard every stop of the way. The mood and music are where this game really shines though. It sets up the feeling of being in a haunted castle with a gothic feel and very hummable and memorable tunes. Overall, I had a great time playing through this and will do so again sometime. Definitely worthy of NGP.
This is one that I envy people that like love the series and then get to go back and play this because you'll be impressed. I can almost guarantee it. It's not like those like first in the series things where you're like, I appreciate this.
Sure.
You will have fun. It's so sick.
It made me feel like, again, in the last time we played Castlevania, I got this urge to chronologically play through the series. I still haven't.
Yeah.
And because there's a lot.
But the itch is back,
the itch
though.
is back. I need cream. Swift Pilot Ben said, I haven't written in several years, but I still listen sometimes. While sometimes...
Unacceptable. Hey, you need to write in every week on time and you do this every episode and all of our social pieces.
While Mario or you're not a fan. While Mario or Mega Man are fast, Simon is rigid and moves with purpose. His jumps cannot be adjusted
buff.
mid-air. You must be committed. His weapon isn't fast either. There are several frames of wind up to the whip that must be accounted for. Throw in some good old-fashioned knockbacks when hit, and at first glance, Simon appears ill-equipped for the task at hand. But fear not. With a stellar soundtrack, you'll be eating meat in the walls for health and collecting hearts for ammo throughout a stellar journey to Dracula.
calling it
Absolutely, NGP from me.
I'm not calling it wall meat.
It is wall meat. Absolutely.
What kind of animal is wall?
Okay, okay. I think it's that it's found in the wall, not that it actually derives from the wall.
It's not made of wall. It's normal meat. You just get it out of walls most of the time.
Mr.
I don't eat
Mystic,
my walls,
Mr.
so.
Mystic said, I just got done playing Castlevania with my 6-year-old son.
Nice, starting them out right with
Sweet.
So
Yep.
here is our review on the game. My son said it was too hard and impossible, but a little fun. I have to agree with him. It is hard and impossible for a 6-year-old, but for someone like me who is a little for someone
Get
like
good.
someone like me who's a little bit older than 6, this game is still hard. NES hard. So once you understand the controls to get past the jank, this game is fun. NGP for me.
That's cool. I bet your son will return to the game at one day and be like, "Ooh, I'm better at this. I like this."
Nice. Proto Dad, who I'm assuming is another father, said this game has always been a wonderful comfort to me. My aunt introduced me to
Poor
it
aunt.
back when I was a child, and it kickstarted my love for all things spooky. Nostalgia aside, I do feel like the game holds up wonderfully. The gameplay is so intentionally designed with its stiff movements and jumps, complementing the smart enemy placement, that even when you feel like its difficulty is brutal, it's never unfair. The music and sound is equally well designed with memorable themes that are still bangers today. Players, old and young, Protodad, not 6 though, should give this game a shot, especially if you're a
7
fan of
up.
games like Dark Souls.
Interesting. I guess I expected that from somebody this week, and yeah,
Expected
I mean,
what?
I'll-
You liked it.
the comparison.
Oh, Dark Souls, yeah.
Someone mentioning Dark Souls. You know,
Yeah.
it's.
I don't know that the Venn diagram overlaps
Yeah.
much, but they touch.
I mean, they're both hard, but
No, it's
that's
not just
about-
hard. It's got dark gothic
No,
themes.
thematic too.
Yeah, true. Bosses, like hard
Yeah.
bosses.
There's some
sure,
Yeah.
some
there's-
correlation. I
definitely.
Kenny, they don't just touch. There is a little overlap. That's what Venn diagrams are, and whatever wedge is in the middle is that's it. Like it's
Where there 3 of us meet on a Venn diagram? Love.
yeah, and hope.
Okay.
All right, we're going to set aside Castlevania for now, and we are not going to randomly select from our retro master list because it is time again for a Patreon poll.
Boom.
We in the summer pool party.
Did you say spoon?
Spoon.
Okay. So this time, the GameCube is our largest wedge on the pie chart.
What is?
GameCube,
GameCube.
Ooh.
followed by PS2
Okay.
and then PS1.
I like that. I'm fine
All
with
right.
that.
Still, it could be anything because those are relatively low percentages, like sub 20% each.
But do keep in mind, this is the good summer pool party. This is a good
Yeah.
year. So far, we've
so-
had
So far,
2 insanely good games, so I have no
So far, so
concerns.
great.
Okay, hold on.
No concern.
2 insanely good games, only one from the Patreon pool. We're only 2 weeks into this Patreon
Yeah.
pool thing.
It
Castlevania
affects
was not a Patreon.
it affects the off weeks.
Oh yeah, for
It
sure,
affects the off
for sure.
Yeah, it's magic.
The earliest submission is from 1986, and the most recent from 2009. But they were incorrect because you can't submit that. So then 2008.
What are you giggling about,
I,
Kenny?
I thought he was talking about when he said earliest submission, when people sent in their suggestions for games.
And you thought someone sent it.
And when he said 1986, I was so confused.
We have games
wow.
in this submission like Street Fighter 3 Third Strike by
Yes, please.
Yes, by
I want us to play the Third Strike, dude. Are you kidding?
And-
Especially with Street Fighter 6 out.
Let me talk. And that was from Enrique. We've got actually a few Castlevanias in here. Both Castlevania 2 and Aria of Sorrow I've seen. We've got Stuart Little 2 by Fuji Prince.
You're banned
I'd give it a shot.
from Discord and Patreon.
We have got what other games in here? We've got Super Mario 64 for the DS.
Sure, I'll play that one. That version's okay.
By George. Retro Man submitted Tomb Raider and Uncharted, Drake's Fortune. We've got...
Also banned.
We've got Shauna submitting Pikmin and Majora's Mask.
Yes, please.
Ooh.
And we've got, who is that? We've got Not Enough Dog submitting Aria of Sorrow. Yep, another Aria of Sorrow. I believe,
doubling up.
just so y'all know, the game with the most submissions in this list is called Soul Calibur 2.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think I saw Garlisle trying to rally
a little bit of a
troops
rally
to get a fighting
They
game.
wanted a good fighting game because we have not had any or many.
I'll bust out the fight stick. I'm happy with that.
As always, a lot of these stats, the charts that I've been referencing, Shane and then even Harold helped this week providing so many of those. So if you want to see those stats in their full HD glory, you can hop into our Discord. But for now, out of all of those games, good, bad, and otherwise, we're going to see if the pool party continues to be a splash. Randomizing now. The game that we will be playing as our next Patreon pool, as a part of our summer pool party, is from 2002.
Okay.
It is on the PlayStation 2.
And others, or just PlayStation 2?
Okay.
Exclusive to the PlayStation 2.
Okay, interesting.
It is an action role-playing video game. And I'm pleased to announce that it was developed and published by Square. Get it. The game that we're playing for the next 7 days was submitted by two people, A-Spot and Quarex, and the game is called Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 1.
Okay.
I was just saying that I need to play this game recently.
The party's staying alive.
I had no doubt.
Even though I'm not going to build a gummy ship this week.
Gummy ship in Kingdom Hearts 1 is trash. But okay.
Whoa.
I'm happy. I've got the re-release. There's like a bundle thing. I might play that.
No, you're not. You're going to the old school. No, you can play whatever. Because you've played this before. I've played it before. Find a copy of Kingdom Hearts played along with A-Spot, Quarex, Kenny, Nolan, and Dustin this week, along with a whole host of your friends with NGP Podcast. Find a copy, play along with us this week.
Everybody, we talk about Discord a lot. We've mentioned it many times in this episode. I'm proud to announce we have hit over 1,000 members, and we are well on our way to being partnered. But in order to do that, we need more people. So please join Discord. It's very easy. You can chat with us, our community. You can leave commentary. We'll read it on the show. I promise. I swear. We'll read yours. Go to discord.gg/newgameplus.
You can also support us by going to patreon.com/NGP podcast as well. And you'll be joining the likes of our newest patrons, including Caleb, DJ Frosty, Way Out Gaming, Eric, Jesse, the Ulan brothers who have upped their contribution, and Shinryunjin, who I'm sure is a name I just completely butchered.
No, that sounded okay.
Thanks for all of your support. We also want to say a big thank you to our producer level supporters, including Alex, Adam, Marlian,
Glitch,
Antonin, Ben, Big Dude, Bronk, DH Bowser, Ellis, Fishy, Francesca, Gimbin, J. Robert, Jared, Joey, Jordan, Justin, Clint, Nick, Nat, Corey, Levi, Maximum, Pedro, Sage, and Shauna, Subsonic Demon, Tazelhoff, Thomas, Unbedavable, and Cyan. And to our directors, you are the hearts we collect so that we have ammunition for our secondary weapons. Bro Jim, Daniel, Garlisle, Super Hybrid. Thanks for all you do
for our holy water.
It's one of your rougher ones, Kenny. You can follow us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube. All of those links are in the show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. Our video episode was edited by our friend Dylan. Our audio episode was edited and produced by our friend Dan Willett. Join us next week as we play Kingdom Hearts. It continues. Until then, I'm still Wall Meat.
I'm hanging out in the deep end of the pool.
I'm Riku.
And this has been New Game Plus.